Hi, good people. We are back. This is Dr. McCoy-Wilson about to explain another assignment for you. And this one is the culminating part of your research project, the research paper. So a lot of students want to know what the difference between writing a research paper and any other paper. Like what's the difference between writing a research paper and any other paper? It's pretty simple. A research paper uses scholarly evidence to support your claim, otherwise known as your thesis. So let's get into the steps to writing the research paper. First of all, as you probably have guessed throughout this course, this research paper is an extension of the work that you've been doing all semester. It's an extension of the issue exploration paper as well as the annotated bibliography. So now you are going to actually write up the research that you've been collecting all along, exploring, then collecting in the annotated bibliography, and you're going to write it in something called a research paper. And fortunately, you're going to write this research paper in 2 drafts. The first draft will be submitted to me, and please do not use the term rough. When students in an academic university course write a draft of a paper, it should be the best that they have to offer given the knowledge that they have at that point. So it is not meant to be rough. It is meant to be complete and the best stuff that you have going. And then I will critique that paper for you, give you an abundance of feedback, a plethora of feedback, so that you can finalize it into the final draft. So moving on, every good research paper begins with a great introduction that ends with a thesis statement. So really, if you think about a research paper, it's really just an extended 5-paragraph essay. So if you master the 5-paragraph essay, which all of you have by virtue of you being in this course, then a research paper is just a longer 5-paragraph essay with a whole lot more paragraphs, and it is substantiated through scholarly evidence. So then after that introduction comes cohesive body paragraphs, which provide the evidence that supports your claim. And then, as all great papers do, this paper ends with a conclusion. So throughout the course, I have probably provided for you some of my video content, some of my YouTube videos on how to write a great thesis and introductions and conclusions, as well as the PI method for writing cohesive body paragraphs. So by now, you have all received some of that information. So check it out in the course of writing this paper. Next, a minimum of 6 sources must be used for this research paper. 3 of the 6 must be taken from scholarly journals. So that doesn't mean that you're using 9 sources. That means that you're using 6, and 3 of those 6 must be from scholarly journals. And I say a minimum of 6. For an essay at this length, I really don't expect any more than between 6 and 8 sources. So again, back to the length. The minimum word count is 2,000 words. And I really don't expect to see a paper longer than 2,500 words. This paper is written in the 3rd person, the academic voice, which I'm sure we have talked about throughout the course of this term. Avoid the 1st person, which is I, and the 2nd person pronoun, which is you. The 1st person plural, we, is pretty acceptable for academic writing. Just keep all of your pronouns really to a minimum. There are ways to write in the 3rd person without using pronouns. We use general terms such as people or society. And if you're talking about a certain geographical locations, use that location. Americans, the US, nationwide, globally, if you're talking about more around the world and not just within our nation in the US. So things to remember about writing this paper. As always, these things on the left here are just kind of the mantra, like I said early in the term, for writing in an academic setting in a university. Use 1-inch margins, double space, use an easy to read font between 10 and 12 points. I really prefer 12-point font. It's clean, it's easy to read, and you can always do a lot of commenting between those lines. Include a title page with the title of your paper, your name, and the name of your school. So this is really an APA styled title page, which there is a sample provided, as always, of a few components of this research paper. And remember, research is the key element here. Remember to substantiate your claims using your sources. This is not a first-person narrative. This is not a paper in which you are the expert, because until you've published anything, you're really not considered an expert in whatever field it is. You cannot simply write from experience. If this is an area, a topic in your field, and you are kind of the resident expert in your field, you must still use those sources. And you are not simply to put the sources on your references page and never return to them. This entire paper is kind of a dance between claims and research that supports those claims. So that leads to the next thing. Use APA in-text citations whenever you are directly quoting, paraphrasing, or summarizing. And so a lot of students are like, well, that's everything. Pretty much. If it did not come directly out of your head from just kind of general overarching knowledge, if it's specific to this topic that you read in some articles or someplace, you need to cite that information. Then finally, include an APA references list as the final page of your paper. I've had oftentimes students receive or submit the references as a separate document. Absolutely not. It is the last page or couple of pages, depending on how many references you have and how long those references are to cite, that it's the final thing in your paper. And so that's kind of the down and dirty of the research paper. Happy writing, students, and good luck to you all.